them, you want to establish a relationship, you want to create value before you ask for more.
Whether it's in business, whether it's with a woman or a man or whatever your thing
Right.
is, whatever it is.
Right.
And it's the same thing with real estate, in fact.
Right.
It's the long game. It's
Right.
not like this quick fix.
Right. So I think now more than ever, the Jewish community needs to create value for its constituency, more so than ever, right? It's not just about being available for the high holidays, right? It's about educating. It's about starting young. It's about showing people what it's all about, educating what the Jewish community does. I mean, there's the alphabet soup of Jewish Community and Federation of like Jaffe and JDC, and then you go, out of Jewish Federation or like ORT, or you go to Jewish Federation, talk about like APAC, and then you talk about ADL, which ADL is not technically a Jewish organization, but a lot of Jewish people are involved with that, and what the ADL speaks for is incredible in its own right? But it's about educating about the need that's out there and the importance. And a good friend of mine told me a statistic. He told me this a couple of years ago. That something like 90% of Jewish people want to be engaged in Jewish life, but only 15 or 20% aren't engaged in Jewish life.
I've heard a similar.
And so why is that? It's because people always, it's easy to say, oh, I'm busy, I get busy, but if the engagement's not there and the education's not there and the value's not there, then why are people going to come do it? And it really then comes down to people who really feel the responsibility to carry on the tradition. And because the attrition in the community, if this continues to go on for generations, it's going to be real problematic.
Very problematic.
Jews have survived throughout the sands of time through great persecution, so
we
have a lot of faith, and there's a lot of pride for me in that, to stay connected to the community because of our history, of perseverance. But I really think that what's so special about the community is, even though in situations where people get seemingly disengaged or not reached out to, they still want to be involved.
They really do.
They really yearn for it. I mean, you're an example of it, right? Like, you moved to Austin, you're new, you want to get involved. It's just, how can you do it? Since day one, right? But your exception proves the rule, right? Because not everybody's going to be that aggressive to get involved.
For sure.
But if there's a place for them to come and have that place to be involved and engage and grow, then the sky's really the limit.
I agree. That's a really good, point that you bring up, and that I just find it to be so important that I find personally responsible to help carry on that next generation and instill those beliefs, no matter what. Because if it continues a certain way, it could almost be we become our own worst enemy.
Yeah, well, I think there's parts of Judaism, of community, that's already happening like that, right? Like, there's tensions between the different sects in our religion, right? From Reformed, Conservative, Orthodox, Chabad, and how they, keep their faith and how they see Judaism, how it should be lived, and how, the ultra-Orthodox don't think the modernization of the religion is acceptable. And I think that, when you talk about faith and belief, it's just that. And it's really hard to tell somebody that what they believe is not good enough. You can't really, this would be a much larger conversation too, right? But can you really prove that there is a God, right? You can't. I don't think you can really prove that. It's not a scientific thing that you can prove. So it's a faith-based thing, right? And so if it's a faith-based thing, whether it be Judaism or Christianity or Islam or whatever it is, right? Like, who is anybody to say that what you believe is not good enough?
Correct.
Because at the base of it, at some point, right? Because I think most of these religious texts say that God handed down his, handed down his word through somebody, right? And somebody wrote that down, right? So, however you believe it or not, somebody wrote that. However many years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, whatever religion that you're buying into and you believe into, somebody wrote that down. And so, at the end of the day, most of those stories are telling the same story when you look at the religion. Maybe it's just a little bit shifted in certain ways and what the names are of the people that we're following. But
but I also think that there's something very special culturally about being Jewish. And there's like this understanding between one another that I've not seen other people experience, I guess, like I have.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the culture of Judaism and I've had this conversation with people where they say you can't, where some people say I'm culturally Jewish, but I'm not religious. And then I've heard other people say you can't be culturally Jewish and not be religious. You can't, the culture of Judaism has a religious aspect to it, right? So again, it just goes back to, it's just people, right? People are just going to disagree about things. The thing that bothers me most is that we're such a small group, although we're small and mighty, but there's no reason to have any division amongst Jews, right?
Agreed.
And I think, again, it goes back to, you can, it's just, this has been something I've been talking about a lot this week, but like, if you're gonna, certain people are gonna live they're gonna perceive a Jewish life to be lived by the halakha, right? The 613 Jewish laws, and if you don't live it like that, then you're not Jewish. I just don't believe that, right?
Right.
So,
well, and I think the important part of this entire podcast and getting it started off is like to open up the conversation.
Sure.
To really try to forward, all of these conversations, listen to everything, but also to be able to move forward as a unit. Because if we do lose that, we could be in serious trouble.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Right. See, I think the beautiful thing though about Judaism and the cultures is that, Jewish people are going to continue to persevere.
Yes, they will.
Right? And you can look at a place like Israel, it's just kind of like the shining monument to that, especially with, the geographical location where they are. And so that's again always what's so special about the culture and about the religion and about the community of it. And so I take a lot of pride in that. But a lot. I don't know if we have much more time to really dig into it, but I mean,
until next time, definitely.
Conversations. Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, please put them down in the comments below. We'd love to look at them and talk about them on the next podcast. Thank you, David Kline.
Thank you,
good man.
Rosenberg.
That was good.
Do you like that?
I like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think that would be fun to do.
Okay.
And like we could.
I feel like more people in here though.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we could make it more casual, like that one.
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be, or maybe we'll go intense. I don't know. But I think
it just depends who you get in here, right? Like
who do you
if
think?
You really wanted to get it in here, you could get a bunch of different people and talk about it. That would be really interesting.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think we'd have to work up to that, don't you? Or you think we should just start out the gate like?
I don't know.
Like who are you thinking? Who would be at this table? Maybe not person, but like personality.
I mean, you could get like a Mindy Levertov,
okay,
who is on that side of the Chabad and whatever, and then you could get somebody from the Reform, and then you get like a Daniel Septimus on the other side of them, right? Like if you really wanted to have that conversation, I mean, I think it'd be really interesting, but it would be a really heated thing. And,
it would be super heated.
Yeah. But I think that I think that stuff's the most interesting. All right, man, that was fun.
Yeah.
Did you like it? You happy? Which one do you like? You like the Jewish stuff better than the real estate stuff?
Well, I just want to find a better. I would think I was too focused on what shouldn't I ask you, because I didn't want to like. But I think the real estate one is well, but yeah, the Jewish one I think is going to be really, really interesting. I think there's a lot of potential behind that, especially with what you're saying. I think there's a way to get more people involved quicker. You guys can come in. We just finished. We just finished up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was really good.
Fun. It was good. I mean, I think it was
really good.
Was it good?
Yeah, I thought so.